Hey guys,
Hey,
so excited to be
hey,
here with you both.
Hey,
happy to be here
I
with you.
good, thank you, thank you. Listen, so first question is to Davey Diggs. Now, I was told that when you first got approached about this play, that Lin Manuel told you, "Hey, I want to do something focusing on Alexander Hamilton through the lens of hip hop," and you said terrible idea.
yeah, it was Tommy who told me what Lynn was cooking up, and I told him it was a terrible idea. I stand by that, by the way. It's still a
I
terrible
wonder,
idea.
I wonder at what point did you realize that this terrible idea was going to get you? It is the reason why you have this Tony Award.
Oh, I mean, the award is purely accidental, but the second that he sent me the sort of demos, which are not great, but like are they're nothing like what we have now. But it
Right.
was so clear that it was going to be amazing. Like it wasn't. The fact that it is a terrible idea has nothing to do with it being a great show. And as soon as he sent me the music, I was like, this is a great show, and I really, really want to be a part of it. It's still a bad idea. If you pitched me that idea today, I would tell you it's a bad idea.
I love that. Now with Christopher, you're no stranger to hip hop as well. And I feel like it's a full circle moment with you because I know your first initial like inception when it comes to plays, it was back in '97 with you with Disney,
Yeah,
with The Lion King, correct?
sure,
And
sure.
now you also played in Holler If You Hear Me, that the music
Yep,
by. And a
yep.
little birdie also told me that you have written for the likes of LL Cool J and Will I Am and all of
Yeah, yeah.
these great artists. Yeah, when did your love for hip hop start? I'm wondering because you're so surrounded by it, even with this film.
So I grew up in Southern Illinois, right? And there wasn't, I didn't, my family, we didn't have cable, and we didn't have what would be known as urban radio. We didn't have black radio back there. So any of my friends, anytime they would go visit family in Chicago or St. Louis, we would all like rush over to their house with blank tapes so that they could then record the mix shows on a loop and bring back whatever we could get. I remember running through the house singing Run DMC and Roxanne just had my mind. I had no idea what this was, but I was like, ah! I used to get in trouble for rapping at the dinner table because back then you didn't sing or do anything at the dinner table. but like like I'm 44 years old. Hip hop has been a
Oh,
presence in my life. This my entire life.
yeah.
Um, just as pop music has, and just as Michael Jackson and any country artist, because I'm from the South, and I mean, you just an amalgamation of all of these different musical things, which is why Lynn and I, get down so well because he's constantly mining for that kind of stuff in his work, and I found that I have a little reservoir that I always get to pull from when we do stuff together.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Now, we all know what's happening in the world today, and we see what's happening with the monuments being taken down and vandalized. And YouTube portrayed some of the top two monuments that's being broken down with Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. How do you feel about that? And also, what do you want to tell people in regards to coming to see this film that may be apprehensive because of what's happening right now? They may not want to see a film that's focusing on the founding fathers that were essentially slave owners.
um,
Go first.
Sorry, who
I'll
goes
let you
first?
go first. Yeah.
I mean, tear them down. I'm very happy that these monuments are coming down. I think we have our values have I hope shifted from the times that we built these monuments, and I think we have to accept the fact that there are sides of the people that we have considered heroes for a long time that don't deserve to have monuments about them, that those monuments don't serve us. I don't think that is a reason to not learn about them. I think it's actually an argument to learn about them in their totality and struggle with the idea of what is useful about the things that a dude like Thomas Jefferson came up with or penned, what is instructive about them. And what about him do we disagree with? He was a human being. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I think the same argument is true of watching the show. certainly my experience of the show is that it takes all of these figures and makes them human and allows us to see how deeply flawed they are. I think you spend much of your time watching your founding fathers bickering about personal shit, you know, and that is not the side of them we ever get to see, and that's important. I think that is really important to be like, these are humans. We should not make them into gods. They are not. They managed to write some things that are very instructive for us today. And if we want to hold ourselves up to the standards that they were preaching, they didn't even reach those. We are still striving to reach that. And that's kind of that's the hope at the end of the show. That's sort of where Eliza really brings everything back, right? At the end, she is seeing into the future with a kind of hope that maybe one day any of us will live up to the shit these dudes were writing about.
Yeah. This Hamilton is not. It shouldn't be confused with hero worship. It should be confused with the type of veneration that historically, you know, we've viewed history through that lens, and that's not what we're doing. The statement, I think that one of the many statements that are made happen to be about the fact that we're bringing these men and women down off of pedestals. We're looking at them in their most trifling states. The founding of this country was always aspirational and was always meant to not live up to it, because the men that were actually in charge at that point were not capable of being their greatest selves in regards to the way that we view this now. But slaves back then, sure enough, didn't see any greatness in them, and it's a complete moral failure to not acknowledge what is so self-evident and what is quite literally self-evident in their writings. But none of this is binary. You can't. We know through history, we know through our own families, there are plenty of really good people that do really, really heinous stuff. And then once you recognize that that is a reality, then it's just a measure of degrees. And I don't mean to denigrate the experience of my ancestors. What I'm saying is that if we're going to look at history honestly, we have to be able to look at the whole thing and understand and accept the good things that happened, and also be willing to rebuke and condemn the things that were morally repugnant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My grandmama couldn't have loved me if she hadn't laid her hands on me in discipline and rebuke. Do you know what I mean? And if we'd have done a better job of teaching real history long ago, we wouldn't be having these problems. And we have to look at the real purpose of what monuments are supposed to serve. You know, and if we're being honest about all of those things and trying to take a full bite of all of those things, that's going to take time. It's going to take understanding. And it's going to take a real insistence that we get it right. This is our moment to get all of those things righted if we can continue the conversation.
Speaking of real history, real quick, if you had one figure in Black history that you wanted to focus on, who would it be? In Black history, one figure, who would it be?
Ooh. We don't have time for this discussion at all.
Marshall. Thurgood
Marshall, Supreme Court.
Thurgood Marshall
is a great one. Oh God, I want to give another. It's there's so literally so much. Breonna Taylor. Let's say her name. That's an important moment in Black history right now. Okay. And you've been saying it this whole time, and I appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys being here, and I can't wait to see it. Haven't seen it yet, so thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you, Jasmine.
You're welcome.